Hello, my name is Amy, and I've been watching this lady read to me a few of my favorite books that I hadn't read before, so I figured I would return the favor and do it for somebody else who wanted to hear a story, and I like to read out loud. So here goes. The Diary of Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Alright, we'll go with chapter 1, and there's some pictures in here. Let's see. Well, we're getting to it. Okay. Monday, I gotta take my glasses off because it's easier for me to read up close. I'm old. Okay. Monday, June 15, 1942. I had my birthday party on Sunday afternoon. We showed a film, The Lighthouse Keeper with Rin Tin Tin, which my school friends thoroughly enjoyed. We had a lovely time. There were lots of girls and boys. Mommy always wants to know who I'm going to marry. Little does she guess that it's Peter Wessel. One day I managed, without blushing or flickering an eyelid, to get that idea right out of her mind. For years, Lies, Goosen, and Son Houtman had been my friends. Since then, I've got to know Jopi de Wall at the Jewish secondary school. We are together a lot, and she is now my best girlfriend. Lies is more friends with another girl, and San goes to a different school where she has made new friends. Saturday, June 20th, 1942. I haven't written for a few days because I wanted first of all to think about my diary. It's an odd idea for someone like me to keep a diary, not only because I have never done so before, but because it seems to me that neither I, nor for that matter anyone else, will be interested in the unbossomings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Still, what does that matter? I want to write, but more than that, I want to bring out all kinds of things that lie buried deep in my heart. There is a saying that paper is more patient than man. It came back to me on one of my slightly melancholy days, while I sat chin in hand, feeling too bored and limp even to make up my mind whether to go out or stay at home. Yes, there is no doubt that paper is patient, and as I don't intend to show this cardboard-covered notebook, bearing the proud name of diary, to anyone, unless I find a real friend, boy or girl, probably no one cares. And now I came to the root of the matter. The reason for my starting a diary. It is that I have no such real friend. Let me put it more clearly. Since no one will believe that a girl of 13 feels herself quite alone in the world, nor is it so. I have darling parents and a sister of 16. I know about 30 people who might call friends. I have a string of boyfriends anxious to catch a glimpse of me and who, failing that, peep at me through mirrors in class. I have relations, aunts and uncles, who are darlings too. A good home? No, I don't seem to lack anything. But it's the same with all my friends, just fun and joking, nothing more. I can never bring myself to talk of anything outside the common round. We don't seem to be able to get any closer. That is the root of the trouble. Perhaps I lack confidence. But anyway, there it is, a stubborn fact, and I don't seem to be able to do anything about it. Hence this diary. In order to enhance in my mind's eye the picture of the friend whom I've waited so long, I don't want to set down a series of bald facts in a diary like most people do. But I want this diary itself to be my friend, and I shall call my friend Kitty. No one will grasp what I'm talking about if I begin my letters to Kitty, just out of the blue, so albeit unwillingly, I will start by sketching in brief the story of my life. My father was 36 when he married my mother, who was then 25. My sister Margaret was born in 1926 in Frankfurt on Main. I followed on June 12, 1929, and, as we are Jewish, we immigrated to Holland in 1933, where my father was appointed managing director of Travis North NV. This firm is in close relationship with the firm of Colin & Company in the same building of which my father is a partner. The rest of our family, however, felt the full impact of Hitler's anti-Jewish laws, so life was filled with anxiety. In 1938, after the pogroms, my two uncles, my mother's brothers, escaped to the USA. My old grandmother came to us. She was then 73. After May 1940, good times rapidly fled. First the war, then the capitulation, followed by the arrival of the Germans, which is when the suffering of us Jews really began. Anti-Jewish decrees followed each other in quick succession. Jews must wear a yellow star. Jews must hand in their bicycles. Jews are banned from trams and are forbidden to drive. Jews are only allowed to do their shopping between 3 and 5 o'clock, and then only in shops which bear the placard Jewish shop. Jews must be indoors by 8 o'clock and cannot even sit in their own gardens after that hour. Jews are forbidden to visit theaters, cinemas, and other places of entertainment. Jews may not take part in public sports. Swimming baths, tennis courts, hockey fields, and other sports grounds are all prohibited to them. Jews may not visit Christians. Jews must go to Jewish schools, and many more restrictions of a similar kind. So we could not do this, and we were forbidden to do that. But life went on in spite of it all. Jopi used to say to me, "You're scared to do anything, because it may be forbidden." Our freedom was strictly limited, yet things were still bearable. Granny died in January 1942. No one will ever know how much she is present in my thoughts and how much I love her still. In 1934, I went to school at the Montessori kindergarten and continued there. It was at the end of the school year. I was in Form 6B when I had to say goodbye to Mrs. K. We both wept as it was very sad. In 1941, I went with my sister Margaret to the Jewish secondary school. She into the 4th form and I into the 1st. So far, everything is all right with the 4 of us, and here I come to the present day. January 20th, 1942, Saturday. Dear Kitty, I'll start straight away. It is so peaceful at this moment. Mummy and Daddy are out, and Margot has gone to play ping pong with some friends. I've been playing ping pong a lot myself lately. We ping pongers are very partial to an ice cream, especially in summer when one gets warm at the game. So we usually finish up with our visit to the nearest ice cream shop, Delphi or Oasis, where Jews are allowed. We've given up scrounging for extra pocket money. Oasis is usually full, and among our large circle of friends, we always manage to find some kind-hearted gentleman or boyfriend who presents us with more ice cream than we can devour in a week. I expect you will be rather surprised at the fact that I should talk of boys. Hold on. I gotta see what time it is. Okay. I expect you will be rather surprised at the fact that I should talk of boyfriends at my age. Alas, one simply cannot seem to avoid it at our school. As soon as a boy asks if he may bicycle me home, and we get into conversation, 9 out of 10 times I can be sure that he will fall head over heels in love immediately and simply won't allow me out of his sight. After a while it cools down, of course, especially as I take little notice of ardent looks and pedal blithely on. If it gets so far that they begin upon asking father, I swerve slightly on my bicycle. My satchel falls. The young man is bound to get off and hand it to me, by which time I have introduced a new topic of conversation. These are the most innocent types. You get some who blow kisses or try to hold you on your arm, but then they are definitely, what kind of word is that? That sounds really bad. Definitely. But then they are definitely knocking at the wrong door. I get off my bicycle and refuse to go further in their company. Or I pretend to be insulted and tell them on no uncertain terms to clear off. There, the foundation of our friendship is laid. Till tomorrow. Yours, Anne. Sunday, June 21st, 1942. Dear Kitty, our whole Class B is trembling. The reason is that the teachers' meeting is to be held soon. There is much speculation as to who will move up and who will stay put. Meep De Jong and I are highly amused at Wim and Jacques, the 2 boys behind us. They won't have a florin left for the holiday, and it will all be gone on betting. You'll move up shall from morning till night. Even Meep pleads for silence as my angry outbursts don't calm them. According to me, a quarter of the class should stay where they are. There are some absolute cuckoos, but teachers are the greatest freaks on earth, so perhaps they will be freakish in the right way for once. I'm not afraid about my girlfriends or myself. We'll squeeze through somehow, though I'm not too certain about my math. Still, we can wait, but patiently. Till then, we cheer each other along. I get along quite well with all my teachers, 9 in all, 7 masters and 2 mistresses. Mr. Kepper, the old math master, was very annoyed with me for a long time because I chatter so much. So I had to write a composition with a chatterbox as a subject. A chatterbox? Whatever could one write? However, deciding I would puzzle that out later, I wrote in my notebook and tried to keep quiet. That evening, when I finished my other homework, my eyes fell on the title in my notebook. I pondered while chewing the end of my fountain pen that anyone can scribble some nonsense in large letters with the words well spaced, but the difficulty was to prove beyond doubt the necessity of talking. Hold on, I'm on a meeting at work and I gotta make sure I'm on mute. And I am. Okay. I thought, and then suddenly have an idea, filled my 3 allotted sides, and felt completely satisfied. My arguments were there. Talking is a feminine characteristic, and that I would do my best to keep it under control, but I should never be cured, for my mother talked as much as I, probably more. And what can one do about inherited qualities? Mr. Kepler had to laugh at my arguments, but when I continued to hold forth in the next lesson, another composition followed. This time it was Incurable Chatterbox. I handed this in, and Kepler made no complaints for 2 whole lessons. But in the 3rd lesson, it was too much for him again, and, as punishment for talking, we'll do a composition entitled Quack, 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 says Mrs. Natterbeak. Shouts of laughter from the class. I had to laugh too. Although I felt that my inventiveness of the subject was exhausted, I had to think of something else, something entirely original. I was in luck, as my friend Sand writes good poetry, and offered to help me by doing the whole composition in verse. I jumped for joy. Kepler wanted to make a fool of me with this absurd theme. I would get my own back and make him the laughingstock of the whole class. The poem was finished and was perfect. It was about a mother duck and a father swan who had 3 baby ducklings. The baby ducklings were bitten to death by father because they chattered too much. Luckily, Kepler saw the joke. He read the poem out loud to the class with the comments and also to various other classes. Since then, I am allowed to talk. Never get extra work. In fact, Kepler always jokes about it. Yours, Anne. Wednesday, June 24th, 1942. Dear Kitty, it is boiling hot. We are all positively melting, and in this heat I have to walk everywhere. Now I can fully appreciate how nice a tram is. Alright, let's start that one again. Wednesday, June 24, 1942. Dear Kitty, it is boiling hot. Oh, you know what? Let me say something real quick. I thought this was chapters, but it's not. So I'm just going to go like 10 days at a time or something like that. Okay. Dear Kitty, it is boiling hot. We are all positively melting, and in this heat I have to walk everywhere. Now I can fully appreciate how nice a tram is, but that is a forbidden luxury for Jews. Shanks Mare is good enough for us. I had to visit the dentist in the Jan Lukenstraat in the lunch hour yesterday. It is a long way from our school in the Stadstimmertuinen. Sorry, I don't know these German words. I nearly fell asleep in school that afternoon. Luckily, the dentist assistant was very kind and gave me a drink. She's a good sort. We are all out on the ferry, and that is about all. There is a little boat from the Joseph Archercade. The man there took us once when we asked him. It is not the Dutch people's fault that we are having such a miserable time. I do wish I didn't have to go to school, as my bicycle was stolen in the Easter holidays, and Daddy has given mummies to a Christian family for safekeeping. But thank goodness the holidays are nearly here. One more week and the agony is over. Something amusing happened yesterday. I was passing the bicycle sheds when someone called out to me. I looked around and there was a nice-looking boy I met on the previous evening at my girlfriend Eva's home. He came shyly towards me and introduced himself as Harry Goldberg. I was rather surprised and wondered what he wanted. But I didn't have to wait long. He asked if I would allow him to accompany me to school. As you're going my way in any case, I will, I replied, and so we went together. Harry is 16 and can tell all kinds of amusing stories. He was waiting for me again this morning, and I expect he will from now on. Yours, Anne. Tuesday, June 30th, 1942. Dear Kitty, I've not had a moment to write you until today. I was with friends all day on Thursday. On Friday we had visitors, and so it went on until today. Harry and I have got to know each other well in a week, and he has told me a lot about his life. He came to Holland alone and is living with his grandparents. His parents are Belgian. Harry had a girlfriend called Fanny. I know her too, a very soft, dull creature. Now that he has met me, he realizes that he was just daydreaming in Fanny's presence. I seem to act as a stimulant to keep him awake. You see, we all have our users, and queer ones too at times. Jopie slept here on Saturday night. when she went to Lies on Sunday, I was bored stiff. Harry was to have come in the evening, but he rang up at 6 p.m. I went to the telephone. He said, "Harry Goldman here. Please may I speak to Anne?" "Yes, Harry. Anne speaking." "Hello, Anne. How are you?" "Very well, thank you. I'm terribly sorry I can't come this evening, but I would like to speak to you, if it's all right, if I can come in 10 minutes. "Yes, that's fine. Goodbye." "Goodbye. I'll be with you soon." Receiver down. I quickly changed into another frock and smartened up my hair a bit. Then I stood nervously at the window watching for him. At last, I saw him coming. It was a wonder I didn't dash down at once. Instead, I waited patiently until he rang. Then I went down and positively burst in when I opened the door. "Anne, my grandmother thinks you are too young to go out regularly with me, and that I should go to the lures, but perhaps you know that I'm not going out with Fanny any more." "No, why is that? Have you quarreled?" "No, not at all. I told Fanny that we didn't get on well together, and so it was better for us not to go out together any more. But she was always welcome in our house, and I hope I should be in hers. You see, I thought Fanny had been going out with another boy and treated her accordingly, but that was quite untrue. And now my uncle says I should apologize to Fanny, but of course I didn't want to do that, so I finished the whole affair. That was just one of the many reasons. My grandmother would rather I went with Fanny than you, but I shan't. Old people have such terribly old-fashioned ideas at times, but I just can't fall into line. I need my grandparents, but in a sense they need me too. From now on, I shall be free on Wednesday evenings. Officially, I go to wood carving lessons to please my grandparents. In actual fact, I go to a meeting of the Zionist movement. I'm not supposed to because my grandparents are very much against the Zionists. I'm by no means a fanatic, but I have a leaning that way, and I find it interesting. But lately it has become such a mess there, and I'm going to quit. So next Wednesday will be my last time. Then I shall be able to see you on Wednesday evening, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and perhaps more. But your grandparents are against it, and you can't do it behind their back. Love finds a way. Then we passed the bookshop on the corner, and there stood Peter Wessel with 2 other boys. He said, "Hello." It's the first time we had spoken to me in ages. I was really pleased. Harry and I walked on, and at the end, it was all that I should meet him at 5 minutes to 7 in front of the house next evening. Yours, Anne. Friday, July 3rd, 1942. Dear Kitty, Harry visited us yesterday to meet my parents. I had brought a cream cake, sweets, teas, and... I had bought a cream cake, sweet tea, and fancy biscuits. Quite a spread. But neither Harry nor I felt like sifting strifely side by side indefinitely, so we went for a walk, and it was already 8:10 when we brought me home. Daddy was very cross, and the thought of it was very wrong of me because it was dangerous for Jews to be out after 8 o'clock. And I had promised to be in 10 to 8 in future. Tomorrow I've been invited to his house. My girlfriend Jo be teasing me the whole time about Harry. I'm honestly not in love. Oh no, I could surely have boyfriends. No one thinks anything of that. But one boyfriend, or beau, as Mother calls him, seems to be quite different. Harry went to see Eva one evening, and she told me that she asked him, "Who do you like best, Fanny or Anne?" He said it's nothing to do with you. But when he left, they hadn't chatted any more the whole evening. Now listen, it's Anne. So long, and don't tell a soul. And like a flash, he was gone. It's easy to see that Harry is in love with me. Rather fun for a change, Margaret would say. Harry is a decent lad. I agree. But he is more than that. Mummy is full of praise. A good-looking boy. A well-behaved, nice boy. I'm glad that the whole family approve of him. He likes them, too. But he thinks my girlfriends are very childish, and he's quite right. Yours, Anne. Sunday morning, July 5th, 1942. Dear Kitty, our examination results were announced in the Jewish Theater last Friday. I couldn't have hoped for better. My report is not at all bad. I had 1 Vic Satis, a 5 for algebra, 2 6s, and the rest were 7s or 8s. They were certainly pleased at home, although over the question of marks my parents are quite different from most. They don't care a bit whether my reports are good or bad, as long as I am well and happy and not too cheeky. Then the rest will come by itself. I am just the opposite. I don't want to be a bad pupil. I should really have stayed in the 7th form in the Montessori school, but was accepted for the Jewish secondary. When all the Jewish children had to go to Jewish schools, the headmaster took Lies and me, conditionally, after a bit, want to let hold on. When all the Jewish children had to go to Jewish schools, the headmaster took Liza and me conditionally after a bit of persuasion. He relied on us to do our best, and I don't want to let him down. My sister Margot has had her report too. Brilliant as usual. She would move up with cum laude if that existed at school. She is so brainy. Daddy has been at home a lot lately, and there is nothing for him to do at business. It must be rotten to feel so superfluous. Superfluous? Mr. Colfius has taken over Travis and Mr. Kraler from the firm, Colin and Company. When we walked across our little square together a few days ago, Daddy began to talk of us going into hiding. I asked him why on earth he was beginning to talk of that already. Yes, Anne, he said. You know that we have been talking food, clothes, furniture to other people for more than a year now. We don't want our belongings to be seized by the Germans, but we certainly don't want to fall into their clutches ourselves. So we shall disappear of our own accord and not wait until they come and fetch for us. But, Daddy, when will it be? He spoke so seriously that I grew very anxious. Don't you worry about it. We shall arrange everything. Make the most of your carefree young life while you can. That was all. Oh, may the fulfillment of these somber words remain far distant yet. Yours, Anne. Alrighty. Wednesday, July 8th, 1942. Dear Kitty, years seem to have passed between Sunday and now. So much has happened. It is just as if the whole world had turned upside down. But I am still alive, Kitty, and that is the main thing, Daddy says. Yes, I'm still alive indeed, but don't ask where or how. You wouldn't understand a word, so I will begin by telling you what happened on Sunday afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Harry had just gone, but was coming back later. Someone rang the front doorbell. I was lying lazily reading a book on the veranda in the sunshine, so I didn't hear it. A bit later, Margot appeared at the kitchen door, looking very excited. The SS have sent a call-up notice for Daddy, she whispered. Mummy has gone to see Mr. Van Daan already. Van Daan is a friend who works with Daddy in the business. It was a great shock to me, a call-up. Everyone knows what that means. A picture concentration camps and lonely cells. Should we allow him to be doomed to this? Of course he won't go, declared Margot. Margot. I've been calling her Margot, huh? Margot. I'm guessing it's Margot. Mummy has gone to the Van Daans to discuss whether we should move into our hiding place tomorrow. The Van Daans are going with us, and we shall be 7 in all. Silence. We couldn't talk any more. Thinking about Daddy, who little knowingly was going on, was visiting some old people in the Jodsey, in Valady, waiting for Mummy. The heat and suspense all made us very overwrought and silent. Suddenly the bell rang again. That is Harry, I said. Don't open the door, Margot held me back. But it was not necessary, as we heard Mummy and Mr. Van Daan downstairs, talking to Harry. Then they came in and closed the door behind them. Each time the bell went, Margot or I had to creep softly down to see if it was Daddy, not opening the door to anyone else. Margot and I were sent out of the room. Van Daan wanted to talk to Mummy alone. When we were alone together in our bedroom, Margot told me that the call-up was not for Daddy, but for her. I was more frightened than ever and began to cry. Margot is 16. Would they really take girls of that age away alone? But thank goodness she won't go. Mommy said herself that she must be what Daddy meant when he talked to us about going into hiding. Into hiding? Where would we go? In a town, or the country, or in a house, or a cottage? When? How? Where? There were questions I was not allowed to ask, but I couldn't get them out of my mind. Margot and I had begun to pack some of our most vital belongings into a school satchel. The first thing I put in was this diary, then hair curlers, handkerchiefs, school books, a comb, old letters. I put in the craziest things with the idea that we were going into hiding. But I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. At 5 o'clock, Daddy finally arrived, and we phoned Mr. Colfius to ask if he could come around in the evening. Van Daan went and fetched Miep. Miep had been in the business with Daddy since 1933 and had become a close friend. Likewise, her brand new husband, Hank. Miep came and took some shoes, dresses, coats, underwear, and stockings away in her bag, promising to return in the evening. Then silence fell on the house. Not one of us felt like eating anything. It was still hot, and everything was very strange. We let our large upstairs room to a certain Mr. Goldsmith, a divorced man into his 30s. who appeared to have nothing to do on this particular evening. We simply could not get rid of him without being rude. He hung about until 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, Meep and Hank Van Senten arrived. Once again, shoes, stockings, books, and underclothes disappeared into Meep's bag and Hank's deep pockets, and at about 11:30 they too disappeared. I was dog-tired, and although I know that it would be my last night in my own bed, I fell asleep immediately and didn't wake up until Mummy called me at 5:30 the next morning. Luckily, it was not so hot as Sunday. Warm rain fell steadily all day. We put on heaps of clothes as if we were going to the North Pole. The sole reason being to take clothes with us. No Jew in our situation would have dreamed of going out with a suitcase full of clothing. I had on 2 vests, 3 pairs of pants, a dress, on top of that a skirt, jacket, summer coat, 2 pairs of stockings, lace-up shoes, woolly cap, scarf, and still more. I was nearly stifled before we started, but no one inquired about that. Margot filled her satchel with schoolbooks, fetched her bicycle, and rode off behind Meep into the unknown, as far as I was concerned. You see, I still didn't know where our secret hiding place would be. At 7:30, the door closed behind us. Morchie, my little cat, was the only creature to whom I said farewell. She would have a good home with the neighbors. That was all written in a letter addressed to Mr. Goudsmit. There was 1 pound of meat in the kitchen for the cat. Breakfast was lying on the table. Stripped beds, all giving the impression that we had left helter-skelter. But we didn't care about impressions. We only wanted to get away and escape and arrive safely, nothing else. Continue tomorrow. Yours, Anne. July 9th, 1942, Thursday. Dear Kitty, so we walked into the pouring rain. Daddy, Mummy, and I, each with a school satchel and shopping bag filled to the brim with all kinds of things thrown together anyhow. We got sympathetic looks from people on their way to work. You could see by their faces how sorry they were. They couldn't offer us a lift. The gaudy yellow star spoke for itself. Only when we were on the road did Mummy and Daddy begin to tell me bits and pieces about the plan. For months, as many of our goods and chattels and necessities of life as possible had been sent away, and there was sufficient ready for us to have gone into hiding of our own accord on July 16th. The plan had to be speeded up 10 days because of the call-up, so our quarters would not be so well organized, but we had to make the best of it. The hiding place itself would be in the building where Daddy has his office. It will be hard for outsiders to understand, but I shall explain that later on. Daddy didn't have many people working for him. Mr. Kraler, Kufius, Meep, and Ellie Vossen, a 23-year-old typist who all knew of our arrival. Mr. Vossen, Ellie's father, and 2 boys worked in the warehouse. They had not been told. I will describe the building. There is a large warehouse on the ground floor, which is used as a store. The front door to the house is next to the warehouse door, and inside the front door is a secondary doorway which leads up to a staircase. There is another door at the top of the stairs with a frosted glass window in it which has office written in black letters across it. That is a large main office with very big, very light, and very full. Ellie, Meep, and Mr. Kofius work there in the daytime. A small dark room containing the safe, a wardrobe, and a large cupboard leads to a small, somewhat dark second office. Mr. Kraler and Mr. Van Dam used to sit here. Now it is only Mr. Kraler. One can reach Kraler's office from this passage, but only via a glass door which can be opened from the inside, but not easily from the outside. From Kraler's office, a long passage goes past the coal store, up 4 steps, and leads to the showroom of the whole building. The private office, dark, dignified. I mean, they have this picture, but I don't know if you can see it or anything like that. Yeah. Linoleum and carpets on the floor. Radio, smart lamp, everything first class. Next door, there is a roomy kitchen with a hot water faucet and a gas stove. Next door, the WC. That is the first floor. A wooden staircase leads from the downstairs passage to the next floor, B. There is a small landing at the top. There is a door at each end of the landing. The left one leading to the storeroom at the front of the house and to the attics. One of those really steep Dutch staircases runs from the side to the other door opening onto the street. The right-hand door leads to our secret annex. No one would ever guess that there would be so many rooms hidden behind that plain gray door. There's a little step in front of the door, and then you're inside. There's a steep staircase immediately opposite the entrance. On the left, a tiny passage brings you into a room, which was to become the Frank family's bed-sitting room. Bed-sitting room. Next door, a smaller room, study and bedroom for the 2 young ladies of the family. On the right, a little room without windows containing the wash basin and small WC compartment, with another door leading to Margot and my room. If you go up the next flight of stairs and open the door, you are simply amazed that there could be such a big light room in such an old house by the canal. There is a gas stove in this room, thanks to the fact that it was used as a laboratory, and a sink. This is now the kitchen for the Van Daan couple, besides being general living room, dining room, and schoolery. A tiny little corridor room will be Peter Van Daan's apartment. Then just on the lower landing, there is a large attic. So there you are. I've introduced you to the whole of our beautiful secret annex. Yours, Anne. And that's it for today. I will be back tomorrow to read you some more of Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Thank you.